Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in Columbus, Ohio, it's time for Columbus Business Radio. Now, here's your host.
Lee Cantor here, another episode of Columbus Business Radio, and this is going to be a good one. Today we have with us Tim Gorrell, and he is with Ohio's 529 CollegeAdvantage. Welcome, Tim.
Hi, Lee. Thanks for having me.
Well, I'm excited to learn what you're up to. Can you tell us a little bit about Ohio's 529 CollegeAdvantage? How are you serving folks?
Well, we're asked often why 529 plans or what are 529 plans? And 529 plans have been around for, better part of 30 years in one way or another. And what they are is ways for families to invest and save for education expenses after high school. Why use a 529? Well, the simple reason is taxes. The way 529 plans work is after-tax dollars are invested in stock market options. Those investments grow tax-free, and whenever they're withdrawn for qualified expenses, there's no tax implication. The alternative, what many people do these days, if they don't save or invest for these after high school education obligations, is they go the student loan route. And student loan debt, as you know, is get to $1.5 trillion in this country. And we submit that saving before those expenses come due is a better way to go about addressing those expenses.
So now, at what point are you usually, I'm assuming you're talking to the parent the majority of the time, not the grandparent, but I would imagine grandparents can do this as well, right?
Oh, yes. Parents, grandparents getting involved, but as you said, it's usually the parents. And, when's the best time we're asked to do this? Well, today, in short. Ideally, whenever a child's born, if the parents or grandparents are getting involved, open a 529 plan. You have 18 plus years of potential growth and investment leading up to that time whenever that child is leaving high school and going into another education opportunity. That doesn't always happen. As we know, life gets away from us. Before we know it, that child's going to kindergarten or maybe middle school or maybe even in high school. And the realization comes that this after high school education experience is going to cost something and we should save and invest. One of our partners likes to say, compare it to when's the best time to plant a tree. Well, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. When's the next best time today?
Now, how do you determine, or how does a family determine the appropriate amount to put away? Because as we've seen in the last probably 18 years, the costs of college have skyrocketed.
It is, and there's several ways of going about that, and it's hard to imagine when this baby's born what they're going to do, what they're going to be 18, 19, 20 years from now. The important thing is to start, and you can start for as little as $25 to open an account. Those are minimum contributions. There's a lot of resources. I'd like to invite people to visit our webpage at CollegeAdvantage.com. We have a calculator, and so this calculator you can play around with it, and look at how much you think you're going to save, what type of education experience is going to come after high school. That may come in the form of a 2-year, 4-year public, private, in-state, out-of-state school. It could be a trade school. It could be a technical school. Any educational entity that has a federal code, you can use your 529 funds for. And so you can put the numbers in there and see how much you need to save. And it gives you, to include inflation, looking out how much room, board, tuition, and fees may cost for whatever education experience you're considering.
Now, when you do that, say I decide to do that for my kid, and this is a great plan. It makes perfect sense today. We go down 18 years, and they decide, you know what, college isn't for me. I'm not going to go to college. I'm going to do something else. Is that money still attached to the kid? Like, who has access to that money, and can they spend it on other things?
Well, a plus side for 529s is that it is assigned to a beneficiary. However, the account holder retains control over the account. So maybe a scenario comes that this money's been saved, it's been earmarked for those education expenses, and the beneficiary says, this isn't for me, I want to go backpack in Europe. And other types of investment options, whenever the beneficiary comes of age, that becomes their funds, and they could do that. Whereas a 529, the account holder controls that. Several things could happen if that beneficiary doesn't use those funds or other resources are available to pay for education expenses. There's no shelf life. They could stay in that account and go on for the foreseeable future. Sometimes maybe the undergrad degree is taken care of by other resources, but later on the beneficiary wants to go to graduate school or change a degree or do something different. Those funds are still there and available to do that. Maybe that individual is not going to use it. Well, the account holder has great flexibility in transferring it to other kids, other family members, or at the end of the day, to use it for themselves. If at the end of all that, there are no other options to be used for it, the money can be withdrawn. However, it would incur a tax liability if it's not used for qualified expenses. And qualified expenses are for tuition and fees, room and board, books, computers, any expenses related to an accredited education program. If you took that out, it's an unqualified distribution. The account holder would have to pay tax on the earnings, because if you recall, it was after-tax dollars that went into the 529. And they could pay up to a 10% penalty for using that as an unqualified expense.
So if so we'll play out the scenario. My kid is now of age. He decides he doesn't want to go to college. How about he has a kid? Can he then give this to his kid, or does it transfer, or is it you get kind of one bite of the apple? I can just give it to my kid.
No, exactly. It's the limits of your imagination, I guess, because maybe you do save it, and then you're right that your child becomes a parent, and so you can change the beneficiary to that grandchild. It's very, very flexible and very broad definition of what family members are. At the end of the day, too, you could even use it for yourself if you wanted to go back to school.
Now, we talked about grandparents a little. Is this something that if I have one kid and then I'm funding it and then a grandparent says, you know what, I'll kick in too, can we all contribute to this?
Yes, exactly. And again, there's various strategies. We're asked about it. And again, it's just a matter of what you're comfortable with. You have two kids. Do you open a 529 for each of those kids? Maybe. Maybe there's a separation that they're not going to be going to school, around the same time. Maybe there's 2, 3, 4 years difference between them. So maybe you fund one and then transfer the funds to the other child someday. Grandparents can do a couple things. They can open up a fund for that grandchild and contribute it, or they can contribute to the fund that the parents opened. If you're an Ohio resident and you're investing in Ohio's 529 plan, regardless of who you are, if you're contributing to a 529 plan, you can take up to $4,000 per year per beneficiary off your Ohio taxable income. And if you would contribute more than that to a 529 account, it can roll over to the following tax year.
Now, you mentioned a minimum. Is there a maximum?
Yeah, that's pretty high. That changes each year. Right now, the maximum, and that varies from 529 plan to 529 plan, but Ohio's is $484,000. So if you're pushing $484,000, you're maxed out.
Wow.
So anywhere from $25,000 to $480,000.
But that's your own contribution, but the account can grow. It's growing, right? That's
right. That's the contributions, and if that you begin the year and you're under that threshold, and then you top that threshold, there's not a penalty for that. You just need to stop contributing.
Right. Now, how complicated is it to set up one of these accounts? Sometimes these kind of things are very, you need a lot of paperwork.
It is. It can be daunting. We like to think that we've made it simple. Like many things these days you can do online. Again, if you visit our webpage at collegeadvantage.com, we have, and you want to invest in our direct plan, that's basically a do-it-yourself investment plan. We have 24 investment options that are available for savers. You can pick a la carte, if you have particular investment options that you like, or you can select one of the age-based options. That works much like a retirement account. You have a date in the future whenever that beneficiary you anticipate that they're going to go to graduate from high school and go on to another education experience. And so the fund will grow aggressively in the beginning, taper off, becoming more conservative as it becomes time to draw on those funds. If people are not comfortable doing it themselves, we have an advisor offering. There's 21 investment options in that space. There's also the age-based options, and those are for individuals who want to work with their financial advisor and invest going that way. The difference, both are very attractive lineups. Our principal partner in the direct plan is Vanguard and Dimensional Fund Advisors. We have a Fifth Third banking product, and on the advisor side, BlackRock is our principal partner. The difference is you'll pay a slightly higher fee if you're using an advisor. The direct plan has a bit lower fees.
Now, is your typical customer an individual who finds your website, or do you work with employers, or do you work with financial advisors? Like, how does someone come to you typically?
We do any number of ways. We have a very robust marketing effort because that's the big thing. That's why I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you. You say 529 to a lot of people, and they're not sure if you're talking about an area code, a state route, or what exactly. Unlike if you say 401k, everybody may not know the intricacies of a 401k, but they know that's retirement savings, and not everybody associates 529 with saving and investing for after high school education expenses. So, if you search Ohio 529, you'll likely land on our webpage. We have radio advertisements. We're online with social media. You may find us on Amazon with various ads. We have campaigns throughout the year. At this time, we're getting ready to go into our holiday campaign. We emphasize the gifting, all in an effort to attract attention, to our plan. And as I said, the enemy is loan debt, and this is a better alternative to have those daunting expenses. If you think about it, the student loan repayment, you're paying $200-$300, maybe more, for an indefinite period of time after you finish your education experience. Where do you find that money? You worked real hard. You've got you're trained, or you got a degree in a career that you're excited about, and you're going to spend several $100s for the foreseeable future paying all that back. Whereas maybe if you save some of it, or all of it if possible beforehand, you're in a much better situation once you go out into the workforce.
Well, that's the thing of taking advantage of compounding. I mean, if you do it at the kid's birth, that's 18 years of compounding that you got working in your favor.
That's exactly right. Yes.
Now, I know Ohio's 529 is in the name, but is this something that my kid has to be going to an Ohio university, or is this just something that, because we're in Ohio, then we can take advantage of it?
No, and that certainly is a myth of 529 plans. People think that if I invest in my state's plan that you're limited. Absolutely not. You can take your 529 and go to school anywhere in the country, and there are some overseas opportunities that you can use it for. If you go to the Department of Education, the United States Department of Education, there is an exhaustive list of school education entities that have that federal code. And if that educational entity is on the list, then you can take your 529 funds there. There's no penalty or no restriction of taking your 529 elsewhere. We would like to think that that there's every state in the country except Wyoming has a 529 plan, so people have a lot of options out there to look at, and we'd like to think that they'd pick our plan, pick an education opportunity here in Ohio, come out at that other end to a rewarding career and live, work, and thrive in Ohio. But not everybody goes that route.
Now, what about when the kid is applying for financial aid? How does is this just kind of a line item when you're figuring out that form?
It is. It has minimal influence on that. Your 529 plan has up to 5.64% influence on the FAFSA and whenever you're applying for those financial aid opportunities. So if just using $10,000, if you had $10,000 in your 529, your aid package could be reduced perhaps $564. But wow, you have over $9,000, going to work for you on that other end. So it's a minimal impact on that.
And then on your website, CollegeAdvantage.com, you answer tons of questions. That's just a great resource for anybody that's considering this, right?
Oh, yes. And that's what we take great pride in. We're very deliberate in, one, making sure that our content is current, and feedback we've got from studies, customer studies, and is that our webpage is not jargony, if that's a word. And so we take great pride that realizing this is a significant investment. It's an important decision that families make. They do have choices. And so we want to provide as much information and take as much concern or anxiety out of that as much as possible. We also have our blogs that are full of information, along with frequently asked questions, videos, all kind of resources to help people navigate through this and making their decisions.
Good stuff. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story. One more time, the website.
Our website is CollegeAdvantage.com. We do operate a call center. It's operational 8:30 to 6 o'clock Monday through Friday if we want to talk to someone. Now, we don't give financial advice, but we certainly can answer questions and steer people to the resources they need. Certainly assist in opening an account if that's what they want to do. And you can reach us at 1-800-AFFORD-IT or 1-800-233-6734. So you can either do it online or talk to us in person.
Good stuff. Well, thank you again, Tim, for sharing your story. You're doing important work, and we appreciate you.
Thank you, Lee. Appreciate talking to you.
All right, this is Lee Cantor. We will see you all next time on Columbus Business Radio.